Well, finally, I have made it here. Welcome to those who may have been waiting. I'm not anticipating a great crowd at the moment because this is just a new channel, a new way of doing what I do with Boomer Press, and that is introducing you to what I do, but also on a Sunday evening, it's a little more casual and I'm just taking you through various bits and pieces, ways that we can get writing, start writing, keep writing. So that's the aim of what I want to do with a Sunday night. And it's also to give you some ways of creating those bits and pieces for memoir. And because it's one of those funny things because I've been very busy doing the promoting of Burma Press on the very recent, in the last 4 days, it was the 5 Foot Rope Small Business Virtual Online Expo that I was involved in the 4 days, being present and putting across what I needed to, that I wanted to, as far as the daily live streams on that channel. I think there would have been some notices about all of those here in this channel, the 5 Foot Rope TV as well. So if you're a regular visiting here, you'll know what I'm talking about. So I am Ros Boundy and I do, I'm the CEO, the owner, the founder, the whatever name you want to put it to, as being the Burma Press original creator of the business name that I chose for creating those, the memories into the written form, I suppose, in whatever form that in whatever way that you would like to actually write your memories down. I know sometimes, like, people do get a bit confused between what is memoir, what is, what's the other one, biographies and autobiographies, and what might be faction, fiction, that type of thing, around how do you deal with what you've got as, your memories to create a story that's going to be what readers actually want to read. There's so many different ways that we can even just start to put it down on paper. Anyway, now I am streaming this to the 5 Foot Rope TV simultaneously into and I'm trying to find where am I sending it to? It is definitely going into my Ros Boundy profile page. So I'm just going to whiz across there to see if I can find that and verify that it is actually going live there. One of the things with doing live streaming, there is delays as far as trying to find things the computer holds up and all sorts of things. So it can be an interesting way of looking at what we've got. Yes, and it does have me as going live in there. Okay, so that's all good. So I'm going to whiz back to the 5 Foot Rope page, and I can find that too. I'll just click on that and go there. So many different ways to swing the cat, I've said before, and that's the same with writing and how we do want to put down our memories and create our own legacy. So I didn't realise I had rough hair like that. I'm going to see if I can actually share the 5 Foot, not the 5 Foot Rope, the Boomer Press website. I'm not 100% sure where it's at the moment, just finding the home page so that you can know what you're looking at as well. So it's been a while since I've done the share screen here. In this one, let's see what we can share. And I'm not sure. Yes, it's got it there. Goody, got it there. I knew I had it somehow. And this is where I'm not sure how I get myself into the screen. Whether I can shift that around. No, I can't. Yes, I can. Are you watching that moving around? Anyway, it took took it off me. Oh, there you go. So I can flick it between. I'm pressing buttons. I'm finding out a few things that I didn't know I could do. Switch straight from this holder and then ping it back up. I'm going to have to explore it even further, aren't I, in detail? So, what I do have is the opportunity for you to share your stories into what is the Author's Hub once you've got them written. So, these are other friends of mine who have written books as well, who have um, allowed their books to be shared on here. Now, because they are fellow students, friends of mine, they do get a different deal, of course, of what being present on this website is. But it's with the aim of creating community, so that eventually, once we get more people joining in, that it's going to be an interactive space, and being able to list your books here for it won't be. Look, that's the sort of thing that we'll discuss as we grow to what is actually involved in connecting this way and having your books listed, whether it's just a little spotter's fee or something like that. Look, I really don't know around this yet. You might have some ideas of what might be the way to contribute some form of energy towards oh goodness, towards what is this screen now. I'm just going to this one. Now I've just got to figure out how I'm doing this. Sorry. I just figured it out. Look, I'm really tired, I think, because I've had the 4 days, fairly constant work and busyness in the back end of doing promotional materials, well, other live streams. I have a ball with live streams, and usually I'm fairly organised. Well, it's not quite the same tonight. I took Oreo for a walk today, and I came back and I am experiencing excruciating plantar fasciitis, which, for those of you who know what that is like, you will understand that my foot is killing me at the moment, and yes, it makes it a little awkward to walk around and get things organised quickly. So it hasn't been. No, that's part of life, isn't it? So what I'm wanting to do is share my other camera, if I could find the screen. This is the one, and I want to take you through with the next few cards out of the, I'll show it to you now. Put that on screen and we can shift it round. The next 3 cards that we can share out of this, that is the life story. It's the way that I've, of course there's noise outside, the life story cards that I've been sharing with you in the series at the moment so far. I'm not sure what episode number we're up to, because do you think I could find my little piece of paper that I had them listed on? I couldn't, so I think it's about episode 8 that we're on today. You'll see it when I go back and edit the titles. So here it is, the life story that we've got, and I hope it doesn't go too dark later. And I've just been placing them this way. I've got other cards still out from my readings this morning that I want to share with you as well, as another way of getting some ideas for stories. So there we are with our early life, our midlife, and I'm too far over, aren't I? Yeah, I better go that way. A bit hard to line them up sometimes. So, and there we've got our later life. Lovely cards, lovely, lovely cards. So the question that we've got from our early life tonight is going to be, what did you learn? Oops, I'm going to put that down because that's from the previous cards that we've already used. And at some point I'll reset them and reshuffle them, because I'm actually listing these myself in my Scrivener program, so that I'm going back to answer all of these questions as I move along as well. Although the last 4 days I haven't had a chance to do any writing. So, early life, what did you learn from your father? Very interesting question. So what do you feel that you've learnt from your father? for myself, it was definitely um, truthfulness, honesty, um, reliability, as in if you say that you're going to do something, that is what you do. So that is how I was brought up. It's certainly what I've learnt from him, and it's also in a way, the wordsmithing and how to do what style of writing I do in some respects. Because Dad was certainly a great talker because he was a lay preacher. So I'd later on, after it was sort of, look, I suppose we do all take on our own beliefs after a while, but in the process of that journey, I did do some lay preaching myself in the Uniting Church. I'd go to the Kermanduke, the Canalpin, the Narung, and the Meningie parishes is where I had done some of my lay preaching as well. So I'd sort of learnt, not his style because we are all differently, but I learnt my level of confidence from my dad as far as being able to get behind a lectern, well, actually, right from the start, to actually write the service out, have a sermon prepared, choose the hymns. I absolutely loved that part of it, was choosing the hymns. And there were certainly some favourites of mum and dad's that I'd choose as part of that process because they were the ones most often that I'd heard singing around the house at times because dad and mum really loved. Um, there was a set of tapes that they'd purchased when cassette tapes and that came in that were called the Songs of Praise, and another one that was the hymns of praise and stuff like that. So there was a lot of that type of singing going on in the background. Mum had an absolutely beautiful voice, and of course, I loved singing myself in church when going to church. Things have changed a bit. It's something I do miss. And anyway, it was this steadfastness to who you are and being true to yourself are definitely what I've learnt from my father. So a wonderful upbringing. I have no complaints about most of it, except, as a child who likes to be told what to do by their parents. Yeah, not me. But that's all right. It still worked out quite fine. So, and one of the things I want to know, which I'm pretty sure 5 Foot Rope TV is a public group, so that if you put your comments in the chat under this where it shows up live, it should come up with that comment where I can bring it up. I'm going to do whoops, I better spell it right, .online for you. That should show in the comments. Once that gets sent through by my live streaming, it should show up and I can show it up in the comments like this. So if you want to put something up that is a comment about what did you learn from your father, I can show it on screen just like this. Okay? Just thought I might mention that because some programs do it, some don't. I do use Ecamm. So what is the midlife question that we're being asked to find an answer for? Who did you live with? I'm not sure what this really is delving into. Who did you live with? It could be as you were, well, at your, what is midlife? Who did you live with? Most of us probably have some partner? That's showing how tired I am. Sorry, apologies. I would say most of us would probably have partners who we were living with at our midlife. And what do we consider midlife? Is it that 30s to 50s as being midlife? And our early life being that is our childhood up until our 30s? Or is it the 20s, the midlife, 20s to the 50s? I don't know. Choose for yourself what you would gauge as being that age group of what you're wanting to actually put as midlife and stick with it while you're doing your books. Because it is only a gauge, it's not set in concrete. But I certainly did have a husband and 4 kids as a family. So who did I live with? That's who I was living with at each stage of increase of the family. Well, it did grow. So, and it was admittedly from a young age, but in that midlife where I would have been in the 30s, it was with a husband who was working really hard, 4 kids. There was a cat. We probably did have a dog at the time. I know there was, um, when we had the farm over at Kangaroo Island on Yerda Station, I had a dog called Lucy. Then there was another dog called Bart, who was the start of the little mini fox terriers that we had, because Bart was then accompanied by Maggie, who was a mini foxy Jack Russell cross, and they were, well, they did breed. We had 4 litters from them. Gorgeous little cutie puppies. They were an absolutely lovely pair, and Harvey had them until their end of life, so to speak, and kept a couple of the pups along the way. The rest were to, passed on, given on to others, or sold, I suppose you definitely said, yeah. Um, it was lovely having them do that, but I wasn't not wanting to be a breeder. After one particular litter, I said, no, we're not going to have that happening anymore. And Maggie was desexed because she'd had one that was a stillborn. I thought, I'm not putting her through that again. So that's who we lived with. And there were probably various pets along the way as well in that realm of the who did you live with. Try to remember all of those different stages and things, because Jasper, our cat, went to at least 16 or 17 that we had when we were a family in that midlife age group, that area of life. Look, it had its fun times, and some were less fun. It's just what life is, isn't it? Now, what are we going to do? Answer when we get to the later life and reflection. It's what are your most prized possessions, mementos, etc. Oh, goodness. Now, this is an interesting one, isn't it? So, as we are looking at what are our things, our most prized possessions, mementos, and later in life, we are considering, definitely I am considering, starting that process now of clearing the clutter, because it was through the occasion of divorce and separating assets and all of the rest that it becomes a bit of a thing that you start to learn not to treasure too much, too closely. Because in clearing a house, I couldn't do it by myself. I had a friend help me, and she was just chucking things in and not letting me look. And I sort of, okay, nah, that's useless. I don't know the reasoning. I don't know what went. There's still some grieving behind that, I might add too, because when you say mementos and that type of thing, it was a cupboard where I had some of the kids' baby stuff, and I thought, I don't know where it is. If it's not in boxes that still haven't been unpacked outside, well, they were part of that trashing. But it's not becoming too precious about it. That's where I'm at the moment. So, what is my most prized? In the moment of now, what my most prized possession, what I value the most for me is this desk that I'm sitting at, the Cutler desk, Cutler roll top desk, because it looks attractive, though I've got a computer sitting in it, modern as all heck, with all the old looking stuff sitting behind, and I haven't been able to close the roll top because this stands higher than what the roll will allow, and I can't squeeze it in back behind because that's not what the Mac will do. It's almost that maybe I need to put this somewhere else, the computer somewhere else, so that I can just use a laptop in this desk. It's options, but it is a lovely desk. It's something I really enjoy sitting at, because it does bring that connection with my dad into the forefront of what I'm doing, because I had so many great memories of And this was only in the later years that Dad got it. He hasn't had it all his life. He'd just always wanted to have a Cutler roll top desk. So he saw one at one point. Mum told him off for spending the money because it wasn't cheap, but he purchased it and has he treasured it himself in being able to sit at it and write and do what he was doing at his desk. He was very good with his maths and managing their bookkeeping and stuff. So I think there's a few things around um, the persona of my father that I've taken on myself as well, as far as, you take after which one. Well, it is a mix of both as far as our parents go, but it is those memories that I remember most, and it's to do with this desk and how that is sitting here. The other thing I'm going to just show you, which I've got to stand up, which is going to be interesting with the plantar fasciitis, is a couple of things from my great grandparent that sit on top. A candlestick. This is a candlestick holder that was made by one of the grandfathers, and I don't know how far back, but have a look at these little spinning tops or little spinning tops. Now, I can't put those, I don't think they spin on here. Oh, look, have a look at that. Oh, there's dust on them. They actually work. So, I mean, they're a memento of the lineage of grandfathers, because I know it was one of the grandfathers that did make these. Um, so interesting things that we actually do collect. I mean, there is a few little things that's up there. I know there's a sovereign holder, and you know how they used to put them in their fob watch thingies on their belt chains. You know, a little fob watch that was on a chain that was from a waistcoat or something. And then there was also a sovereign holder that would hold a few sovereigns of the day, the coins of the day. I presume it was a varying size, so you could hold different values of coins. Um, so those are a few mementos that, what do they actually mean to you as well? So write them down in your book, in your notepad, your journal. See what you come up with too. So I'm going to stack these so they're like this for these ones, and I'm going to do it so you don't see the next lot. And I'll stack them away, because the next one that I want to try out with you was as a result of doing my the psychic reading this morning, because I do one daily in the morning. For those of you who know me from that, you will know that. And this morning for yesterday and this morning, I actually used a deck that's called the Siren's Song, and that's this one, okay? And lovely deck. The guidebook is here. I didn't put them away because I thought, well, here is actually another way that you can use a different tool. So that's a guidebook for it for the readings. And here are the cards. I'm trying to show them to you. So this one is the Lenormand, and this one is the Kipper, because this particular box set actually holds the two decks. I'm holding my arms out really far. It holds the boxed set of the two cards because someone decided that it would, I should actually acknowledge who they are. So it's a work between Khan Paris, Tony Savory, and Tina Hart there. Okay, so they're combining the idea in a nautical framework of using Kipper deck and Lenormand, or Lenormand, whatever term you want to give it. I'm going to have to bring this to me a bit closer and move this. I'm stretching too far. So I thought I'd just shuffle 3 of these, not do a reading. What we're going to do is use these cards as a sentence for you to start writing a story based on the sentence. And here we've got house. That's funny. That's one of the cards we had this morning. That is funny, actually. A house, a marriage, and high honours. So it's a really interesting combination. So, what we're going to start with is including a house as the main subject of the sentence, the story. So, in a grand Georgian house, there was a couple who were wanting to get married, but they were forbidden because of, this one here is certainly indicating it could be a race thing, because there certainly has been eras in our history that didn't allow marriage between different races. And there we have the high honours coming into play. So it could be that what we can create from this story is a very highly educated man with the high honours who is wanting to marry out of his class or his race or something like that, and create the story of what might be a romance. So that we're going to be able to start with the tips and hints around what is possible here, putting the figure of the and I'd say a coloured man as being the highly educated and highly honoured person in this story, so that it creates those potential twists in what might come forward as plot lines, and being able to really create something interesting for that. So I'm going to use that as the start for what might be a short story maybe, or it could develop and grow into a book. I don't know yet whether I want to be doing romance. So it's one of those things with the types of tools that you can use to just go for it in whatever way you want to, in expressing the story that you're wanting to put forward. That's if you want to do fiction and that sort of thing. The other thing that I had, and it was this morning, was, I'm just going to take that one off, was, a lot of us now do use social media. It seems to have become quite a habit for many. And for me, because I am in business and was in the early days told that, you've got to be on social media because that's where people are. So you move into this realm that is, including YouTube, it's considered social media as well now. You've got communities and stuff in YouTube too. But this is streaming out to Facebook. So up pops the memory photos. When you see that on your phone, if you've got plenty of photos, I've got many years worth that are still stored on it or accessed through it, through the drive, and it comes, Google Drive, Google Photos comes up and pops up with memories from years ago. And I do have some photos that I've taken of my mum and dad's photo albums. So there's a few of those pages. I haven't got anywhere near through the bulk of what the photos are yet of those, and they are what I consider ancient. These photos were taken in the 1930s and 40s as well. So they're only black and white. A couple of those came up as memories, and I happen to remember what some of them were from, because Mum, thankfully, did sort of label some of them, but I remember her telling me that, the C of E, which is not C of E, that's Church of England, the Christian Endeavour youth groups that they had when they were young, which would have been in the 1940s, and the clothes that they were wearing and what sort of activities they were doing in these photos, picnic race type things. It was really good to see them actually, but it also brought up some of the other photos that are from my memories, saying remember this type of thing, however they word it. And it made it easy for me to actually reshare them on the Facebook stream this morning. But it was certainly the ones about a fairly recent trip that I shared with a friend going over to New Zealand. And it was lovely to be able to sit and think and ponder upon what that was meaning for me, and what a great trip it was, and the opportunity, and how thankful I was to actually be asked to join in with that trip. I really enjoyed that. So, there's quite a few different ways that you can do that. Memory jogging, so you're just writing down things and getting them together. So, I'm going to actually leave it at what we've covered tonight. Certainly, go and check out the Boomer Press website. I'll show that up again. Contact me in what way you feel comfortable with. There is a form to express your interest in connecting with me on the website. So there is also I'm not sure if it's a 15-minute or a 20-minute or a 30. It was a while ago we built the website. Calendar link so you can have a quick chat, a free chat with me about what you actually would like to do with your writing. What ideas, what sort of services. You can see that on the website as well. I don't need to go through that every night that I do these live streams. I'll every so often I might just poke my nose into it again, just to remind, because there are at times new people watching, of course. Now, I thank you for watching. I am going to leave it there because my foot is starting to kill. I'm going to go and need to take some painkillers. So at any point in time where you start to think, no, I'll do it later, I've got plenty of time left to write my story, just have a think about it, because, we can be taken at any point in time ourselves, crossing that bridge that puts us on the other side with spirit world, that it's not always that we have the time that we think we do. And especially because I know, personal experience, there was a sudden accident causing death in my own life that has affected some of what I can ask him. And my parents, I wouldn't say, well aged, they were in their 80s, so you sort of expect them to go. If your parents are getting at that age that it's, time's running out for them, you sort of think about it and, I'll do it tomorrow, that type of thing. I really encourage you to definitely, if you're wanting to write their stories, have them create their memoirs and sharing it with your family, have that legacy for you and your kids and friends as well too, because it's quite interesting to know what someone's history is, what their story is behind who they are, and you start to piece together how some of those behaviours you sort of thought were quirky as you're friends with them and the rest, there's reason behind it, and you start to understand more fully. It's interesting, even along that psychological point. Not that I've done studies around it, but you pick up a bit as you do therapy trainings and all sorts. So it is an interesting discovery at times of what your friends actually have done. And that's just something I'll recount too, because I was just chatting away with the lovely Michelle, who helps me with, she's part of the Boomer Press team. And we were just chatting after the 5 Foot Rope Online Expo. And part of that process, I think we had our last session was yesterday. We shared the screen together. So as part of that, I sort of said something about printing the Late Lander at Menengi and actually being the printer for one of the printers. There was 2 of us that were trained in it, for the offset printing press that we used for printing the Late Lander back then. Gee, that was a long time ago. It's around the 2000. And she was so surprised because she was in the printing industry. It's where she started. So she and I didn't know that detail of her. So it's funny how you can, in just in conversation, chatting with friends, can discover things about each other that surprise you and really make the connection more interesting, because you start to understand and know why you're attracted to somebody, because there is that energetic connection of familiarity, of having shared experiences in a way that you understand each other even better from that shared type of experience, not the same experience, but the shared type of experience. So it's really good fun to really discover that. We had a wonderful chat in that session, so it was good. Get together with your parents or people that you'd like to know more about and ask them, would you like to be interviewed? Can I please write some things about you to add to my book, or Or would you like your story done, please, mum and dad, or grandma and grandpa? I'd love to hear some of your stories and write them down and have you share it in a book form for either just the family or for others to really create something that's a bit of a historical connection of the times, but with a much more personalised story to move through that as a really interesting read for people who do want to read that sort of book. So, anyway, I'll leave it there. Keep enjoying yourself in whatever way that you can with your memories and how you can piece it together. Because it is the purpose of why I put Burma Press together was to write my own and my dad's from his diaries. I'm not going to write his memoir. I just want to transpose his diary. So that's the purpose of why I started doing the Burma Press and learning all that I have in the way that I'm gradually progressing with my knowledge of personal writing and writing styles and fiction and the rest. So I do want to grow and move forward with that. And I'd love you to join me in that process as well. Okay, so thank you. Have a lovely rest of your evening for a beautiful Sunday. It has been gorgeous weather here. And look, I'll see you next Sunday. Or it could be that you want to join in with the 5:30 on a Monday and a Thursday. I'm just doing a half-hour one with more direct tips and hopefully be a little more organised for tomorrow's. I've just got to find my notes. I tidied up. You know what? That can happen, can't it? When you start to tidy up, you lose things. Should have been a messy desk. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.